Okay, so I can't really think of the name of it right now. So it's like, what if Deku and 1A were isekai? That's a good thing that I can go off of. So Deku looks a little bit different, aka a lot different than. He doesn't have green eyes, no green hair like his mother. What Deku actually has is gray hair, because people can be born albino. So it's like a mixture of them being born albino, Deku being born albino human. Yet it didn't fully kick in of that. He still had some stuff in his body that could make his hair and like eyes and pigment different colors. So Deku actually has, well, people can't tell, but it looks like he has grayish eyes and gray hair. The doctor said that he might be born. He looks like he was born albino, but not fully. But he still had some pigment. So his mother was perfectly fine with that. Her Inko was nice to him, a nice mother. So when Deku was, let's say 4, how about this? You get your quirk. You can like test if you have a quirk at 4, but the quirks usually come when like start working or start showing up between the ages of 4 and 7. Some people like get it late, but can still test to see if they have it, or some people will get it before they test. So that's what Bakugo had. He got his quirk at the age of 3. He didn't get test because they could see he had a quirk. They just put it on of his list. So when Deku was 4, he tested to see if he had a quirk, and it came back negative. He does not have a quirk, it seemed like. So when Deku was completely sad and wanted to go home and cry, Inko thought that he was gonna go and watch All Might videos. What he actually does is go outside and just sits on just sits down. Inko went in and just like started making food and all that. Yeah, sorry. I've had a bump on my tongue. One second. Okay. So when Azuku was outside, all sad, Inko called him in, and when he got there, he started eating. And what he did when he was done is he went upstairs and just sat in his bed. What the fuck? Sorry. Jeez. I know I shed my hair, but what the fuck? I'm shedding my body. I'm shedding skin now. So, when he went to school the next day, Bakugo asked, "Hey, what's your quirk?" Izuku replied with, "I don't have a quirk. I'm quirkless." Bakugo laughs. Everybody starts bullying him and stuff like that. The teacher comes in, they all sit down and all that. So Deku was bullied since the age of 4 and all that. One day when Deku was around the age of 7, something started happening and Deku got a quirk. Well, what the fuck was that? Oh, it's supposed to be my dad. So, when Deku was 7, he got a quirk. Well, technically a quirk. And he was happy, but confused because the doctor said he was quirkless. Now, Deku's quirk is a wolf. Deku is half wolf. Izuku was a white wolf with white ears and a white tail, or gray ears and a gray tail, technically. So he showed his mother, and she was so confused because the quirk doctor said Izuku was quirkless. She didn't want to go back because she really didn't want them to figure out that Deku got a quirk and he was quirkless. And usually scientists want to know why and want to go into experimenting and all that. Inko didn't want that, and Inko was smart and using logic of the world and how scientists have been in this world. So Deku had a hood on, and his ears were like he could make his ears darker or lighter than his hair, or the same pigment color. And when Zuko, I don't know if I'm using the correct word. I'm sorry. I'm not good at science and shit like that. I think it's pigment. So when Zuko was going to school, he had a hood on, and the teachers were just fine with that because nobody really cared about what Izuku did. Izuku could literally walk out of the classroom and the teacher wouldn't give 10 flying fucks to what he does. As long as it doesn't harm a kid or burn down the school, he's perfectly fine with Izuku just failing the class. So, Izuku, people acted like Izuku was invisible. And since that, so did everybody else in school, the principal, the other kids, everything. My question is why did they act like Izuku was the only fucking quirkless person in the school? I bet that there was another quirkless person in the school. Like, what the fuck? There had to be. 20% of the 7.8 billion people in the world, and I bet there was 10 people in that school probably that were quirkless, or more. So why did they act like Izuku was the only one? I just don't get it. So when Izuku sometimes did stuff, everybody acted like Izuku was not there, and it actually came in handy sometimes because Izuku acted like a good kid in front of the principal, and Izuku was that quote-unquote principal's favorite child in the school. So when people got hurt and blamed it on Izuku, the principal didn't believe them because he's the favorite child in the school. Sometimes principal didn't act like Izuku existed sometimes as well, because he had no point to act like that. Izuku usually steals stuff as well from kids. How about Izuku? No. Izuku's a fox. This is making everything better for me. Izuku's a fox. An albino fox. So, yeah. Let me get back to the picture. Actually, I like this picture better. So, Inko started acting like the kids in the school, yet she didn't act like he didn't exist. She just didn't talk with him that much and didn't do that many things with him. Izuku is now I don't know why I'm acting like a fucking acting like I'm talking to a fucking baby. Izuku is now 12, and when Izuku went off to the forest because he was bored as fucking hell, Izuku acted like he didn't act so nice to people. He wasn't a All Might fan. He wasn't a fan of heroes at all. He wasn't like one of those like kids that were like, "Oh my God, All Might." He's like, "Oh, it's All Might." Huh. Keeps on walking. So this was the day that the sludge villain happened. I'm making it 12. Izuku was walking under the bridge. He smelled something disgusting and could hear something moving in the sewers. He backed away from the sewer grater thing and just ran. He was fast. Izuku had this habit of just stealing stuff. Sometimes he stole something and didn't know he stole it. And all that. So Izuku's bedroom was filled with just stuff. Like, you could probably find something very expensive in there and find something that's like worth absolutely nothing as well. So Izuku just ran. He looked back, saw that there was a sludge villain looking around, and then saw All Might come out a few seconds later, and smacks the villain, puts him in the thing, and then just jumps off. So when Izuku was at home, he went to his room, and all that. Trying to think how to get to this point. Izuku put on some clothes that weren't the school clothes. He put on a hoodie and all that. It was winter. Right now, it was winter. It was near the end of winter, though. It was like the 25th. 26th, I mean. Izuku and Inko didn't really celebrate holidays and all that, so yeah. The only present Inko gave him was a giant meal. Izuku could cook, so Inko's cooking was actually good. Inko taught Izuku how to cook, so she did not need to teach. So she, ADHD meant. So she did not need to cook for him every day. There. Bit my tongue a few minutes ago and it fucking hurts. Oh my fucking God. I'm sorry I'm cussing a lot. So Izuku put on his hoodie, and put on some shorts because Izuku had much more hair on his body, a little bit more, that puffed up at random times and could go down and disappear. So he walks outside and just like was in the cold. He couldn't stand it. And he was just playing. Inko didn't really care. And when Izuku was out there for a while. So Izuku, when he was out there, he met a girl. She was playing with Izuku. She was around the age of 12 as well. And she was going to tell Izuku her quirk. And she told her quirk. It is called, I don't know what the name is. The quirk is spatial magic. Something, I don't know. She can teleport people wherever, whenever, and anywhere in the world or universe. Now, if anybody can think of this about my other series that I posted like a while ago, episode, yeah, I'm stopping that one because I cannot think of anything else to add to that. I might just like keep that as that. The one where Zuko is stuck as a teddy bear thing. Yeah, if another what if wants to use the episodes I make as a thing or pictures that I choose, none of them are mine, just to say that. And you can like use my what ifs to get ideas. Yeah, I would really want that. So Zuko was talking with the girl. I'm sorry, I get sidetracked very easily. I thought I saw a bug in my room. Oh no, it's a dead bug. It's not alive. Okay. So Zuko was talking with her for a while, and she was talking about her quirk and asking about Izuku's. Izuku was saying about his quirk, and then Bakugo came over with. Bakugo wasn't Izuku lives in a house, not an apartment, so Bakugo came over down the pathway backyards because there was no fencing, and scared the girl, which made her use her quirk on Izuku. Now, when Izuku got teleported, she was not thinking of a whale, not thinking of when time, or any of that. So she does not know where Izuku went. She turned around to the Bakugo and said, Why did you scare me? I used my quirk. He's like, what, is it teleportation? She's like, not that. My quirk can teleport somebody anytime, anywhere, or any universe. So he might not be in our universe now. Ah, good. Kid's gone. Deku's gone. It's like, yeah, and he might be in the land of the dinosaurs right now. So, yeah, Inko was questioning where Zuko went and all that and that shit. Zuko, now being in a different world, it landed in an area that looked somewhat familiar and all that. And when Izuku teleported, it was snowing. Izuku liked the snow and thought he was just teleported a few blocks away. Looking around, and there was no houses. He didn't smell people. He didn't hear anybody at all. So Izuku's 12-year-old self, not knowing where he is, started walking around. He found a civilization, but it did not look like the city. It looked like a small little town. In this small little town, he went in. He made his ears go away and all that. Hid them. And hid his face because he had a mask. And it was this mask. Izuku then walked into the city, town thing. Little, but still had walls and stuff like that. He was at the gate, and then the person asked, name? He says, he doesn't want to give his real name, so he gives off a fake name. Well, kind of fake. He says Izuku, and then he says last name, and he says Black. It's like, Izuku Black? Yes. It's like, okay. Age? 12? He's like, oh. Okay. Actually, let's make Deku like 13. Yeah, easier. It's like 13. Oh, 2 more birthdays and you'll be an adult. It's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm in a different universe. Deku's smart. So when Deku, the guy's like, okay, do you have any reason for being here? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, why? I don't know where I am. I am lost. It's like, are you a traveler? And he's like, no. It's like, then why are you out here? Well, I'm technically a traveler, but I wasn't traveling. I just randomly got here without me knowing. I woke up and I was like in the forest. He's lying a lot. It's like, oh, so you need help knowing where you are. Yeah. It's like, oh, you are in St. Pegic. St. Lick? Salic? You're in the western town of the, you're in the west town of, Jesus Christ, I can only think of one thing, and that's using an anime name. You're in the west town of the four-leaf clover. You're in the middle area of the four-leaf city. Oh, okay, thanks. It's like, are you gonna stay here? And he's like, I don't have money. It's like, there's a town in here. There's a thing. It's very not that good, but it's for free. But it's a very terrible town. It's a very terrible area to live. It's like, oh, better than nothing. So he asks him if he can show him. He calls up God to show this kid, well, his town is, well, the area is, and he does. Azuku gets there, and when he does, he gets in the area, get in the tavern, and says, hello, I need a room to stay. And they're like, okay, room 3 is open. Gives him a key, and Deku goes to room 3. When he gets to room 3, he sees that it's a mess. And he's like, oh, that's why. There was some bugs and, like, rats. Deku scared them off. The rats, not the bugs. When Izuku got in the room, he noticed that was in his pocket. He stole something. And what he stole was not that he didn't think was that important, but probably was a necklace. This necklace was a heart, and he was scared because he didn't know who he stole it from, because he was around a lot of people. So in the blink of an eye, Deku could steal something without him knowing. He checks his pockets, and he sees that he didn't steal anything else, and is trying to remember where he stole it and all that, which Deku cannot because he has let's say, a brain problem. He has memory problems. So he can barely remember stuff in a day. So if he does something, he needs to write it down to remember how to do it. And luckily, he finds something he can write down, which says, stolen things I accidentally stole without me even knowing. Actually, no, Deku had a notebook, because Deku has this thing where he knows that he needs to keep a notebook. There's a few things he can remember, but not that much, like his name, his age, who his parents are, and stuff like that, like little simple things. But like big things, he can't remember. Like if it's very important, he can't. So he writes down in his notebook that was blank was what I accidentally stole without me knowing. Number 1, a heart pendant that looks like it's $100. A very expensive pendant heart. Pictures, I can't open it. Probably something in it. Uh, Number 2, this notebook and pen. This notebook and pen. So Deku starts living there and trying to figure out a way. He asks the person to say, asks him, is there any jobs I can get with jobs that would be in my limit? And he says, yeah, how old are you, kid? He says he's 13. And then the guy says, there's a place where you can get some jobs at your age down the area. There's this down the alleyway. There's this guy. If you want to get money very fast and in a way, go ask him. One sec. Sorry, my little brother was trying to steal my bag of chips. And now I'm tired from getting up. Oh. So Deku got out. He still was wearing his mask and hoodie. This is what his hoodie looks like without his ears up and tail. So when he's walking down the alley, he asks the guy that he finds at the end of the alley if he can get a job. And the guy asks, do you know what the job is? And Deku's like, I don't care what the job is. Tell me. It's like, okay, are you good at thief? And he's like, yeah, kinda. It's like, how is it kinda? Well, I steal stuff without me even knowing. It's like, how is that possible? I stole a pendant without somebody knowing it. I don't know who it is. I can steal something in the blink of an eye if my eye catches it. I can actually steal good as well. And he's like, okay, let's see if you can steal something. And he's like, so you're gonna steal something from me, trying to. And that's when he tries to reach in his pocket and being like, you're gonna be stealing. Where did it go? And Deku's like, oh, let me check my pocket. You mean this? It's like, yeah. How did you? See, none of us saw me steal it. I knew I stole it. I could feel that something appeared in my pocket. It's like, okay, you're gonna steal something from another person. It's like, I already did, I think. If you count this pendant, it's like, that's very expensive, you know that. And he's like, oh, I have this thing where I forget stuff, along with why I forget that I steal stuff. So I forget a lot. It's like, I don't care if you forget or not, as long as you steal from me. He's like, I'll steal for you if you get me food and stuff like that. That was good. And a place to stay that's better than this. He's like, sure. So Deku follows the guy and he leads him to a base. Well, the bandits' base. These bandits are very high wanted. Some of them are assassins as well. So Deku's like, some kill. I could probably do that. I'm probably better at stealing though. And he's like, okay, so we got a client. He wants something stolen from a very rich guy. The thing is that you already got the thing. It's like, oh, this? And he's like, yeah. We didn't know it was this expensive though. And he's like, I could just make a duplicate. It's like, how? Well, duplicate can look like it's very expensive, feel like it's very expensive, and it's as heavy, and it could be as light as it. It could shine like it, and it can just everything like it. Thing is that this can open, but I can't open it. It's like, you don't have magic? And he's like, I don't know what magic is, but sure. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot you forget stuff a lot. Yeah, I do. We could just give it to him. How much is he gonna pay for it? So, that's the thing. And he says, $2 billion. Quintillion dollars. 2 something dollars. And he's like, I don't know how much that is. Well, the pendant is 1 million, and he's paying 2 trillion. And he's like, oh, okay. Then let's give it to him. We take the money first, and we give it to him. We get more money. And if we don't, we're just gonna steal it back. It's like, okay, you're gonna be the one holding it. So he can't, because we're new and he doesn't know, you're new and he doesn't know about you. He's like, okay. So when they get there, Deku's like on the sideline, him not knowing that Deku has instead of them. And they're like, give us the money first. And the guy's like, no, I know you guys' plan. You're gonna ask for the money and then sell it. And he's like, no, we're gonna ask for the money and you're gonna get it. And he's like, I want it first. And we want the money first. So what they do is they give the money first because they can't do this. And then they say, okay. They count up the money. It's the amount. And then they look at it. They ask Deku to come over. And they're like, who's this? It's like, we know that you guys would have lied about the money. Or stuff like that. So we asked this new one to check it. Deku knows what the money in the place looks like. And he looks over every money and says that it's all real. And then he gives them the box with it. And he's like, okay. And they all leave. He opens the box and he finds it. He sells it. And he figures out that it's less than what they get out. They also had a note in it saying, if you open this, you would know that it actually is less than what you gave us. We didn't know that until we got it. So that's how Deku became a thief in this world. So let's say Deku was gonna steal stuff from the king until the king caught the group of bandits. And instead of exiling them, he was gonna ask them to help him rule the world. Like, he'd watch over his daughter and son. They also say that he should let them go, and because they need to get somebody. He would be a good help. Deku also figured out how to assassinate and stuff like that. And the king's like, we're not letting you go. And they say, what's the payment though? And they're like, your lives. And they're like, we all don't give a fuck about our lives. The king knew that very well. And he said, fine, we'll give you money. How good you go is how much money you get. And they say, we also need to get you also need to find somebody else in our group because he's still out there. And they're like, but we caught you all. No you didn't. You didn't get our last member. You have a 7th member. And he's like, yes, we do. He joined a little bit ago. Not that much so you guys could figure out about him. He's a good thief and assassin for us. But the problem with him is he steals without even knowing. So if you find stuff missing, ask him. He probably has it. It's like, how does he have that? It's impossible. It's like, he has memory loss. So he forgets stuff very easily. So, yeah. So, Deku, when he got caught by them and actually met up, and they told Deku about how they're gonna be guarding the prince and princess. They split up into groups of 3. One group guarding the princess and the other with Deku in it guarding the prince. So when they have that, instead of that, they were gonna summon some people, but then Deku goes to the king and tells them that they should, because then people will be questioning why the prince and princess are walking around without guards, and then they're gonna think that there's guards watching them. So they think of it, and then they say that's correct, and then this is where this happens. They summoned the people. Instead of all of Class 1A coming, it was a few. Because 20 people I cannot keep count of. Actually, they can't like choose how many people come. All of 20 come. They are all in Class 1A already in that. Invisible Girl is not coming. Tail Guy is not coming. Forearms is not coming. Multiple Arm Guy is not coming. Guy that can talk to bugs is not coming. Mineta is not coming. Yeah, that's all. That probably not coming. So when they come, they're questioning like why they're here and all that, and like are getting ready to fight. When they Deku is one of the people that are told that they can meet. So Deku is like is actually guarding the king. Instead of the prince and princess, instead of that. So actually, yeah, there's a different guard guarding the king. One of the guards is guarding the princess right now, and the prince. Oh, they're watching. Azawa was there as well, and is like, "Why did you bring us here? Are you a villain?" And he's like, "I am not a villain. I have brought you here because I needed your help. You guys are gonna live here for the rest of your lives." They're like, "We need to go back home. We can just leave and go back to our homes." And he's like, No, you guys cannot. I have summoned you to a different world. I need you guys to guard the prince and princess. Help guard. I need you guys to guard the prince and princess. This guy right here, Izuku Doc, will help you guys help some of you guard the prince. And this guy over here, Eric Stelfield will help you guard the princess. Some of you guys can also not guard, or you guys could help with the other things around the castle. And some of them do, some of them help guard. Bakugo is one of the ones that wanted the guard. Izuku was trying to teach Bakugo, Kirishima, Todoroki, who else? Mina, help those guys learn how to fight and protect them. Momo, is help like getting armor, making stuff like that. Uraka helps with the gardening, and like cleaning and like help making food. It's like one of the butlers. Ida is like a butler. Ozawa is like they don't know what to do with Ozawa. So he's like help teaching them how to do stuff and they figured out that for some reason that the quirks aren't as strong anymore. It's like when they would like just got them. So Deku was like, oh, quirks. I haven't heard that word for a long time. And they're like, how do you know about quirks if you live in this universe? It's like, I was just like you guys, except a little bit different. Oh, my friend, when I was around the age of 12, I was playing with a little girl. Actually, wait, let me tell you a story. So, right now, I am about 27. When I was a kid, aging is different, so he would actually be 18 in My Hero Academia. So, he says, when I was a kid around the age of 12, I was playing with a friend that I met outside. I was deemed quirkless, but actually not. When I was playing with her, I was learning about her quirk and so excited about it. And then my other so-called friend, quote unquote, came up and scared her. She had her hand on me and jumped and used her quirk on me. It teleported me to a different universe. I don't know what happened to them, but I don't know. All I remember is that my one friend had an explosion quirk, and the other had a time-traveling universal quirk. Bakugo was scared because he knew that was him. But he was like, this kid is 28. This guy is 28. I'm 18. We're definitely... That little pipsqueak was gone. So, they were learning and all that. So, when that's how the area was like. Then one day, Deku was gonna go because they were having it controlled under and all that. So Deku asked the guy if he could go and live on his own, not in this place, because he had enough money to survive and stuff like that. The guy was fine with that because they had a lot of people guarding them and stuff like that. And they had other assassins. So when Deku left, he was walking in the forest and he met somebody a little bit down, like a lot, down the road. And her name was Eris. Almy? Mary? Merk? Let's just say her name was M. Deku was learning about M and what she could do, and Deku was super comfortable with her. Deku showed her about his fox form and how he could turn into a fox, a white fox. She was surprised and all that, but there was people in this world that could use shape-shifting forms because they were animals, half animal. So that's why Deku could use his quirk, so called. So when he was living with her, he figured out she was a witch. Now Deku was learning how to do potions and stuff like that and use witch stuff. He was happy, so to say, down there. One day he was making potions. M actually left and let Deku live there, because she moved around a lot. When Deku was making his potion, he got a knock on his door. He was questioning who it is because people wouldn't be this far in the forest, and some people wouldn't be this far down the road in the forest. When he opened it, he saw somebody that he never knew and all that. When he asked what the problem was, and they asked if they could stay for the night because their friend was hurt. When he said yes, he opened the door and saw how his friend was badly hurt. Deku changed his house into a normal house looking, and he brought them in. And then the friend was placed on a couch, and he said that he could probably help with his friend because he makes medicine so on cold. When Deku was making it, he didn't let the people in the room because he was needing the ingredients of witchcraft, witch magic, and he made it. He rubbed the wounds with it and stuff like that, and he patted up, got rid of the blood and stuff, and was healing the wounds, and gave him medicine so he wouldn't feel pain and stuff like that. So Deku was helping them, and the next day his wounds were better. They stayed for about 2 days, and the friend was better. They gave him some money because of it, and he said thanks, and they left. Now, there was a kingdom much bigger than the other one that he lived in that these people were living in as gods. When they told the king about him, and the king knew his wife had a sickness, and went down to the guy and asked if he could help with his wife's sickness. And he said if he can give descriptions of what happens, and he says that she has a bad fever, coughing, a ton of rashes all over her body, and she can't see out of her eyes. Her mouth is very dry and all that. So when Deku asked if there was any possible way that he could get his wife to get down here, because he cannot carry his house up there. Deku says if this actually instead erase that. He says if the guy can keep a secret, and he says he could if he saves his wife. Deku teleports the house closer to the kingdom and makes a doorway from the door into the wife's bedroom from his door. He opens it and shows that the wife was in there, and he just needed to get a little bit closer to get into the boundary of the area. He went in and the husband said the king said to his wife that this guy's gonna help you as best as he could. The guy, Deku says that she needs, if she could please go to sleep, and he will help. So Deku's looking over the guy's body, feeling the temperature and all that, and saying that grabbing a towel and putting cold water in it, putting it over his head, and putting blankets over her, saying that she has a fever and she is allergic to something. If he knows that she's allergic to anything. He says that he doesn't know what that is, and he says, does she sneeze around anything or get puffy eyes around anything? And he says, yes, a type of flower called the Veluca. And he says that it's in the castle. He asks if he can see it, please, and he does, and he uses the flower to make a medicine. His wife's eyes are easier to see out of because they were puffy. The rash, he used cream to smooth it up and it went away. She started her mouth was not as dry, and her fever was going away. So Deku was known as the castle's doctor, and he made a door that led to his house and the area. It was inside his house, and all that. So when people were starting to ask if they could use the castle doctor and stuff like that, Deku was also known as a doctor in the city of it, and that he was helping a ton of people for money. He made a secret to everybody that the poor that they could come in if they needed to, but it would be medicine depending on the thing. So I'm terrible at remembering. Deku was forgetting how to people's like that. He was the castle's thing, so he had to write it down. The king came over once, and Deku was forgetting. The king came over and said that he needs help, and Deku says, "Who are you?" And the king's like, "I've been working with you for years. I've been with you for years. How are you forgetting?" He's like, "Oh, 1 second." He goes to his book and says that about a king and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, Your Majesty." And that's when he figures out that Deku has a memory problem that no medicine can fix. So the king's fine with that, and all. So when Deku was helping the king and stuff like that, the other kingdom was coming over, and it was the one that Deku used to be at. So the king, the prince, and the princess came over. Not the group of knights, though. Only the assassin group came as well. So they figured out that Deku was there, and the group of assassins started talking with Deku, acting like formal people. And Deku knew they were them. So when Deku was done talking, he went over to the king and the other one and said hello. remembering who he was. So Deku starts living with the king and all that, helping out and stuff like that. This will only be a one episode, so I'm sorry. There's not that many things I can do right now. And I just want to say, they just live like that. So Deku just lives with the king, helping him, sometimes meeting other people and stuff like that. And that's just all I want to say. Goodbye. Farewell.